All right, hey, what is up, guys? We are going over February's facility programming. I want to give you the month overview as we build up to the Open, as we've been building out since last month and obviously previous months before that, helping dial in our different avatars for fitness, performance, and sport training, goal-based training programs to make sure that we know which groups are actually really dialed in for the Open, say sport, ones that want to participate and have fun, but they're still looking for good, well-rounded training, not to feel beat up as they go into the Open. And then say fitness, people that hopefully will participate and they'll do it, but it's just part of another one of their training days they're going to do. They're not, peaking up for it. There's no taper for them. They're going to go and they're going to have a really good time and hopefully stay and party and celebrate and make some lifelong friendships there. So that's the first part. The second part this month, as we look at it as an overview here, is our goal was to show you how we're going to get people in your gym ready for the Open without beating the crap out of them. So if you look at some of the high-level individual competitors that are maybe trying to get top 20 in the world for a worldwide game spot and automatic berth to the CrossFit Games, there is some really crappy training happening right now. This is really the time of the year where we had the last bump of volume, so now it is intensity-based stuff, hitting pieces over and over. Not big, long stuff where we're into pace or anything, but we're eating bees, as we call it. We mean that going head first into the workout, trying to come out the other side alive. We're not needing to do that because we know we mostly want people that are going to have fun in the Open and do well, improve on what they did last year, but also keep training. So that is the underlying caveat that we've designed for your members. Anyone who is really serious about the Open, again, we encourage them to do the sport training as well as the pre-class competitor training. That's where you'll find a lot of, say, the advanced gymnastic movement progressions, advanced weightlifting progressions, heavier barbell cycling stuff. That's not necessarily needed for people to do the Open, feel better, but not be burnt out by week 2. We don't want that. And then by the end of March, they're not a member of your gym anymore. We want them to have fun, to be there, to feel fully prepared, and they will be, but with really the least effective dose we can give, meaning what can we give that's so accurate and right on for what they need that we don't have to do 5,000 rounds of stuff and do every movement under the sun to feel like we're ready for the Open. That's usually what happens, right? Oh, we got to do everything. We got to do 10 retesters, and we got to do this. Did we do 16.5? Well, we didn't do 16.4. Well, we got to do this one. And at some point, it's just overkill, and we end up seeing people getting sick and burnt out by about week 3. Right? So that's why, again, being clear on the avatars of what you're going to be doing with them and coaching them. We've gone over that in a coaching development course every month for the last couple months. So you should be feeling really comfortable with speaking to people about these workouts and how each one is enrolling them in what's best for them. So without further ado, let's start it off. We're going to look at these over 3 verticals here because we're running 3-week progressions as we do this. So it's Monday, week 1 is the 28th, week 2 is the 4th. And week 3 here, the 11th, the week before the Open, 11th to 18th, is our mini tester week. So it'll be a drop in volume, creating a raise in intensity. And that means the week after that, starting the 18th, is the Open week. So that's going to be our prep week. Okay, so that's going to be stuff we're not going to the Open beat up, but you'll be ready. Everyone will be fit and healthy and happy with the results and progress at your gym. So starting off on Monday, this is our day where we're doing some barbell cycling. So this is really going to be only endurance, a cross-section of strength, speed, and speed strength is where a lot of barbell cycling is going to be coming in. And that's going to be where we're looking for reps of turnover, touch and go reps, not putting the bar down and not stopping. Most of the year, this is improved by the other parameters, right? We don't want to be doing barbell cycling all year to get better at it unless they have a specific skill weakness. They can't do that. Most of the year should be increased by increasing their CP capacity, meaning we're going to increase how good their output on their Ollie lifts can be. Can they go from 200 to 250? Well, that'll make a 135 clean a lot easier. And their aerobic ability, meaning how good can they recover. So if my mile time, let's say, goes from 8 minutes to 6 minutes, and my clean and jerk goes from 200 to 250, is my barbell cycling at 135 going to get easier relatively? Yeah, a ton. right? A ton. But we do need to have some specific practice a little bit, not a lot, right? Again, we're not trying to sway this whole thing to the open. This is good general training that will fit for everyone, but people that do want to take it there, you'll be able to help them. So the workout we're building up to is Macho Man, one of my favorite open testers. That is 3 power cleans, 3 front squats, 3 shoulder to overhead, 1 set every minute for performance is 135 and 95 pounds. For sport is 185 and 125 pounds there for as many minutes as you can do, right? The goal is to complete 10 rounds. Most people can't get 10 rounds there. So the way we do it, right, is if they have to stop a minute, they'll rest there and they'll pick back up, either lowering the weight or try and continue and get 10 rounds out of, say, 15 minutes. We have that work. So that's what we're building to. So the first week, we're going to increase the ceiling. We've been doing a lot of heavy clean and jerks, heavy front squats, heavy press to increase the basis of support we need for this part. So you'll see here, it's going to be 3 power cleans, 3 front squat, 3 push jerk, 1 set every 2 minutes, and we're going to build. Right? We're building up to a heavy set of this, meaning that if you're looking to do this at 135, if you can do a set here at 185, now that's only 67% of your max. So that should be relatively easier to cycle out now, right? And as we keep going up and up on that, that's better. But if you're trying to do this at 185 and your max is 205 in this complex, you're going to get about 2 or 3 rounds and you're going to be fried, okay? No matter how good your recovery is, you just can't be able to produce that much force that quickly. That's what we want to do there. So we're building up on the ceiling, and then the conditioning piece there is a CP endurance piece. So we're looking on building the battery and endurance that we need for Macho Man to do 3 power cleans, 3 front squat, 3 shoulder overhead, relatively heavy barbell cycling, repeatable over and over. And EBOMs work really well for that because it forces your members to pace. Instead of doing 10 rounds for time, they're better off here in preparation for the open, doing 1 set every minute and doing it again. It'll help them learn their engine a little better and pace that out there, and they'll actually get more work done for most people. So that's Monday. Next week, we're doing a shoulder to overhead complex, and then hang, squat clean, and strict handstand push-up. So it'll work and challenge some of the same musculature and energy systems we're going to be needing for that retest on Macho Man. And then finally, boom, let's do it. We did this to start off the cycle on January 9th. So now we're retesting that today on the 11th. We've gone on here, and then next week, just prep. Day 2. This is one of the harder days of the week. We like to do it on Tuesday. It gives people enough time to recover before Friday, so they get a little bump in intensity here. And then towards the end of the week there, I'm going to come back up on Friday. We want people to get ready to be comfortable going hard on Friday if you're doing Friday Night Lights. Okay? It's a deadlift strength endurance protocol we use to help people get ready. There's a lot of high rep hinging in the open, both for low loads, just do this dumbbell 80 times over and over, head bend and go, or heavy deads over and over. Every year it's been one of the two, right? Last year was heavy Diane into the heavier reps. And then years before that, it was the deadlift ladder, the 55 reps of deadlift plus row. So there's always this high rep, heavy deadlift piece. And so this protocol gets confused a little bit. It's not meant to be a strength gaining piece. So don't look at it as I'm increasing my 1 rep. We did that last cycle where we worked on increasing the 1 rep to the deadlift. Now we're trying to build out and increase the endurance and repeatability of sub-maximally heavy deadlifts. So the protocol goes 1 set every 2 minutes for 10 minutes, 10 at 50, 8 to 10 at 60%, 6 to 8 reps at 65%, 5 to 7 reps at 70%, 3 to 5 reps at 75%. Okay, that's for performance and sport. For fitness, they're just going to do 8 to 10 reps, 2-0-2-0 tempo. They can build up lightly, but the idea is that's 32 seconds of time under tension where we want to keep them just for good structural gains and learning and mastering the deadlift. Okay, so that's, again, strength endurance versus absolute strength. So we're not trying to raise up everyone's dead right now, although this will help many people increase their deadlift just because they have a lot of progress still left to go, and a good base of support of high time under tension will help them. But we're trying to build out right now, so when this workout comes out that's 55 deads and 80 of these, they're not going to be blowing out their back. It'll still be hard, but we're putting in the work on the front end, so when it's time for game day, they're ready, right? It's time for that tester, whether they're trying to compete in the open or just participate. That's important to note. But we're trying to make sure everyone is resilient enough to participate and to have fun, right? So this is good for just regular deadlift endurance, good for technique. So they don't go out there, they're just trying to smash deads over and over. Next week we go up, we drop the reps a little bit, we're rate increasing the reps. The final set is 1 to 3 reps at 80%. Most people, that's not gonna be crazy crushing. The 1 set every 2 minutes will be a little challenging, so we're putting some respiration parameters on there by having it be 1 set every 2 minutes. But then obviously that's gonna be matched with some maximal loading. And then finally, next week, because we're doing a high rep hinging tester here, 10-minute AMRAP, kind of like 11.1 and 14.1, dumbbell power snatch and double unders. That's a lot of hinging. We're not doing the deadlifts that week. So you'll get a rest from that progression. And then we pick it up next Monday, just adding 1 rep to that set. So we're not going crazy with it. We're not trying to overreach, but we want to make sure that everyone's set to handle that amount of hinging. The 2 big ones I want to look at are shoulder stability and health, and then hinging health. Knees for most people are okay. As we get better at this, most people don't come in with the knee injuries we used to have, but the low back and the shoulder ones still end up being predominant throughout the open. So I want to make sure you guys are set for this, and this is how we do it. So we have that as the front piece. The second part's what's fun. And we call this the blend, right? So for the open, most workouts, if we look at it, let's say it's about a 10 to 12 minute AMRAP would probably be the most common time domain we're looking at for competition in CrossFit, right? So we know that if you're looking for a 12-minute interval, our aerobic progression pace we want to get good at is 25% of that time domain, which is 3 minutes. So we do a lot of, say, 3-minute intervals, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, rest a minute. If it's muscle endurance, a minute of push-ups, a minute of small ball, a minute of box or rowing, let's say, rest a minute. If we want to work density or a 3-minute circuit, right, dialing in that 12-minute pace. Do a lot of stuff around there, 2 minute, 4 minute, etc. We want to match that with lactic endurance, meaning how hard can you go and how close can you fly to the sun until you fall off. The difference is this: the aerobic intervals are sustainable. The lactic endurance intervals are unsustainable. What we want to be able to do during the open at this time to get people really feeling comfortable for that pace and knowing they're not going to go out fast and then have a big fall off at the end is what we call the blend. And this is where we try and combine the aerobic power threshold piece with the lactic endurance piece, and it looks like this. Instead of 3 minutes on with full rest and then repeatable sets, it's going to be climbing effort sets, meaning it's going to be 3 minutes on. This first one's going to be at 85%, let's say, and rest 2 minutes. So it's a little incomplete rest, right? Next set, we're going at 90% effort, 3 minutes on, rest 2 minutes. The final set, you're gunning it. So you're going to create essentially a lactic endurance environment, but with the aerobic support pieces with it. And that's going to be 100%. You should be like, I'm done, I'm out, no more, coach, 3 sets of that, and I'm through, right? And that should help them see, 1, how to pace out these 12-minute, 10-minute intervals, and 2, understand how to push hard at the end of these and what that should feel like. Because the truth is, we don't want our competition to be totally sustainable, right? That means you left some reps on the board. It's like if you lost by, if you're fighting, you lost by a couple points, and you're like, but I could go again. You're like, well, you can't go again. You lost. It's over, right? Should have gone harder. And you're like, but that would have hurt. That's the cross-section we find. If you go out too hard, you fall off. Too sustainable, there's reps left on the board. This is the blend, and this is the work we've done from having building out the anaerobic alactic power to lactic endurance, combined with aerobic work we did back in April, May, June, and throughout the year. Things that were longer in nature, slower contractions, building down to aerobic power, and now we meet those 2 pieces together with lactic endurance, lactic power, aerobic power. Boom, those 2 pieces make the blend. So that's going to be the progression here, and it goes up to, look at that, 10-minute AMRAP right there, where you're supposed to be holding a pace that should be almost unsustainable at the end, but you're kind of keeping it going, and that's what we're looking for. So that's why that's an important piece for this whole part. Wednesday is going to be a snatch and overhead squat technique day. After the heavy stress and high CNS output of the deadlift. It's more of a technique base for the first piece. We know there might be complexity lifting coming up, so we want people to be ready for it. They don't need to increase their 1 rep max. We want them to be comfortable with these movements, and these aren't best improved under high stress, high rep efforts. Snatching and high technique movements are best learned in that 70 to 85% range for a lot of people. So these protocols here will help them work in those reps so they feel really comfortable where they're at. And then the other part is going to be building up some aerobic muscle endurance, where again the limiter will be muscle endurance or breathing, one of those two pieces right there, building up where we go aerobic muscle endurance, and we go aerobic capacity and threshold into the beat test. And the beat test is similar to Macho Man, where it's 1 set every minute for as many minutes as you can do. But where generally the loading is going to be the issue on Macho Man, for beat test, the issue is going to be capacity and how sustainable can you make these contractions. 7 thrusters, 7 burpees, 7 pull-ups. For fitness, it's 5-5-5, performance 6-6-6, and in sport 7-7-7. Obviously, we have lower loading and scaling like dumbbell thrusters and jumping pull-ups for fitness to make sure it's movements they can do. Sport at the advanced level, 7 thrusters, 7 burpees, 7 chest-to-bar pull-ups. We want them to be making chest-to-bar pull-ups a sustainable effort movement, meaning they're not at 2 like, I'm drained. If you're going to do the open, we want you to be doing, and you're trying to get a really, really high score, you should be able to do over 100 reps of chest-to-bar pull-ups in a workout and just like, all right, that was a little tough, but good day, man. Cool. We want to build that out as much as possible. So this really isn't much on that level for someone who, let's say, is looking to move up the leaderboard. But if you're in performance and you want to participate, 6 thrusters at a lighter load, 6 burpees, 6 chin-over-bar pull-ups or chest-to-bar, something that should be able to get you some reps. You'll probably have to rest for a second and then continue until you get 10 rounds total, right? We go through the coach's notes and all our videos here for you guys on the daily videos, exactly how we do that and how to scale and how to tailor those workouts. So on the front end, you're going to get pushed really hard by that. On the back end, we're actually retesting our 5-rep overhead squat that we did from the start of the cycle. Now, why are we doing this at the end of the cycle versus the front, on the end of the workout versus the front, right? Because I want to test how good the recovery is from these hard pieces. If you do the beat test and you're like glazed over for 30 minutes, that means the output is good, but the recovery and support is not. We want to make sure that for the open, the recovery in your members is good. They're bouncing back quickly, meaning they're resilient, and now they can do a more highly technical lift like their overhead squat. For sub-maximal load, it's not a 1-rep max, the 5-rep max, but for an effort, right, for a 5-rep max, they should be able to beat what they did in January. Right, I repeat that. They should be able to beat what they did fresh in January. That's what we want them to be able to see, is that they have more in the tank. And that's a real psychological step for people, knowing they have more left to go than they had before. And that's a lot of confidence, right? We don't do that just by tons of volume and beat down. The short test, 10-minute little piece, rest some, now build up to a 5-rep overhead squat. To get there, a lot of training has to go into that. A lot of different aerobic work, things you'll see on Thursday in different parts of the week that are really, really critical when we look at the workout as a whole, and not just days, right? And I don't mean that everyone's coming every day. I'm saying regardless of which days they come, it should help fit together for them to get a good holistic program, and not just, well, I don't come this day, I don't get strong. You're going to get all of the pieces you need. Okay? Thursday, after that, we're doing a lot of skill work here after a couple high output days. One, skill work is good for recovery, right? Lower CNS output because we're learning the pieces. We're not trying to do output on the pieces there. So things like muscle up transitions, hollow rock, handstand work is going to be happening today. And then aerobic power progressions, different versions of climbing ladders, muscle endurance Tabata, building up to a good hero workout, Michael, 3 rounds through time, 800-meter run, 50 extensions, 50 sit-ups there. So good core endurance, which we know is needed for the open there. Finally, final day, Friday is going to be days where we do open testers, helping people get in the mood for Friday night. They're not all just exactly open retests. I don't believe in doing that all the time. Couple is good, but we don't really need to do that. Like, you know, get better by doing last year's tests only, right? You have to get ready for what's going to come. All right, so we have a mashup on the first day and then some squat endurance after. So that means after we do these hard little couplets, it's going to be 2 to 3 sets of 8 back squats, 65 to 70% of your max. After that, we're going into another chipper, which we're going to have a lot of movement variance. Chippers are the hardest to pace because, say it if you know it, chippers are the hardest to pace because each movement has its own cadence, right? Your pace of rowing is different than your pace of toes to bar. Dink, 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 different than wall ball. Different than cleans, different than muscle ups. Each one has a different pace to it we have to master. So most people aren't great at each of those paces. We want to help make sure they are. And then finally, we're building up to the open test. And that's a real fun one. It's a big, long chipper of a bunch of different movements, kind of like a rite of passage before the open comes up. We have all the different scalings there. For people looking just to do fitness, they want a good body composition workout. This is what's right for them. The movements are appropriate for their level. Some complexity, not much. Performance, again, moderate complexity. Loading and movement selection is appropriate for their level. And then again, sport. If they're looking to really move up the leaderboard, that's sport. Saturday will be functional bodybuilding on the front end to balance out the output on the other part of the week. So we see things like glute bridge raises, single arm glute bridge dumbbell press, carries, step overs, a lot of different functional bodybuilding that we want to balance that out and be good for body comp, and then partner workouts so we can manage their work rest some, building up to a Valentine's Day workout. Why? I'm a gentleman, you know it. I'm a lover at heart. So that is the overview of February. The rest of the week is just, this is a prep week that will be ones that you can push anyone really hard on it that needs it, that is just there to get regular training in. Anyone who is serious about the open, we have different rest intervals in here that are going to help keep them stunted just a little bit so they won't redline it too close to competition there. And that's how we're helping keep people that really want just to have good training set in your gym, they're set. And people that want to gun it, they're going to be set too. And that is February's programming overview. Thanks, guys.